What if I told you that I moved halfway across the world to Bali, Indonesia, and I had no idea what my life was going to look like? I had no plan whatsoever once I got here. That's exactly what happened 3.5 years ago when I left Bermuda, our island home, and relocated with my family to Bali. And so if you've heard anything about my story so far, you know that I had a plan for saving money. I had a plan before we left so that we had enough emergency in case things happened when we got here. But I actually had no idea what life was going to look like once we arrived. I didn't know what kind of friends I would meet. I didn't even know if I would make friends. I didn't know if I would like it here full time. We'd only ever visited once in 2017 for 3 weeks, me and my husband. And everything else was just a guess. I didn't know I didn't know where we were going to live. I didn't know what kind of school my son was going to be at, or even if he would like it at the school. I knew nothing. And I think that's what it's like when you relocate. You are literally surrendering your plans and deciding that what you are leaving is worth the risk for something better, for more opportunities, for more peace of mind, for more stability, for more freedom. And so that's exactly what happened. I left Bermuda. I had a thriving small business, and I walked away from everything that I knew because I knew deep inside that that was no longer my path. I felt like I was in an incubator. I felt like I was in this waiting season for so long, and I wasn't particularly happy, but it was safe and it was comfortable and it was predictable. And in this incubator, although it wasn't where I wanted to be, it wasn't outside playing, it wasn't outside growing and having fun, it was a place where I feel like I got more grounded in my faith, a place where I figured out who I was, a place where I started to really understand what direction I wanted for my life, and decided to have the courage to actually go after my biggest dreams. And so if you are listening to this episode, I'm going to be sharing what happens when you move to a completely different country on the other side of the world without a plan, and how to get going if you don't know what life is going to be like, what the next chapter holds, and how to just keep momentum. And so for me, the very first thing is to start to fill your days. Create a new routine that gets you excited to wake up in the morning. And so when I first arrived out here, I remember I would take my son to school, and then I would basically have from 8:30 until 2:30, because that's when pickup was at that time, to do whatever I wanted. I had to do work in that time, obviously, but I wanted to also do things that made life worth living in a new country, and that made my routine something that I felt excited about. So it involved yoga at that time. I was trying to get into yoga. It didn't really work out. I am not at all a flexible person, but it was just an opportunity to move my body, to figure out what was next, to get healthier. I remember I started to drink more juices. I started to eat more fruits. I started to just figure out what I wanted my life to look like in this completely new place. And I think that's the beauty of relocating, is that you have this blank slate, and it's up to you to be intentional as to how you fill that schedule, that slate, with things that are really going to make life better and make it worthwhile that you moved, that you risked it all, that you risked your job, that you risked, some friendships and relationships, and that you made this move. And so, number one, like I said, make sure that you fill your days and get a routine that you are excited about. The other thing that I would suggest is to really, really be intentional about taking time for you. Read books, join coaching programs, do whatever you can to really dig in and figure out who you're going to be going forward in this season, who you want to show up as. You want to do the inner work. Whatever was happening in your hometown, in wherever you lived before, I want you to do the deeper layers of work and healing that you have to do to really ground yourself, get clear on what broke you, what made you unhappy, what was going on in your mental health, and start to release some of those things. I want you to be so intentional about releasing anything from your past that is not meant to go with you in this next season. You have to really do the inner work and look at, how do I release this so that I can grow into the best version of myself and become a better version of me. And so the third thing that I would really suggest anyone who's moving to a new country to do, if they have no plan, if they're trying to figure things out, but they want to make this chapter a much better one than the one they left behind, is to actually take the time and think about that version of you that you want to become. And more deeper than that, I want you to think about the vision and the mission and the legacy that you want to leave in this world. I want you to think bigger than you ever thought before. I want you to really dig in and not just think of this new season as a chance to have fun, a vacation, relaxation. It should be that for a season. But if you're planning to make this move a long-term plan for yourself, for your family, you really need to figure out what that next level of you is so that you can step into that version of you. I want you to really get clear on the legacy that you want to leave behind, the ways that you want to serve, the ways that you want to level up who you've been in the past so that you can really thrive in this new season. And so for me, when I look back, I know that I wasn't showing up as I wanted to in Bermuda because there was so much going on. There was so much hurt. There were so many people that I felt didn't like me. And the fact that I even cared that they didn't like me was a red flag that I needed to do some inner work, because that is none of your business. What other people think of you is none of your business, and you shouldn't care, and you shouldn't allow that to hold you back and to limit you and to almost imprison you. That's how I felt when I was living in Bermuda. Bermuda is a beautiful place. I had the most beautiful community. I have some of my best friends in the world are still in that part of the world. But for me personally, I felt like I was living in a cage version of myself only because of how that small island, some of the judgments, some of the criticism, some of the rumors and gossip mill, how it impacted my mental health. I felt like I couldn't really make mistakes and learn from my mistakes. I felt like I really needed a bigger space to be free and to figure out who is Nadia even, and who does she want to become? Who is that version that I feel that God has called me to be? And so that's the work that I've been doing since I relocated. And that's the work I really encourage you to do if you're ever moving to a different part of the world and you don't have a plan about what life is going to look like. You're not sure. You're hoping for the best, but you don't really know until you actually have your boots on the ground, your feet on the ground, and you are walking out this new life. And so be intentional with filling your schedule with amazing things that keep you excited and fill your days with joy. I want you to make sure that you are healing and releasing anything from the past. And number 3, I want you to be intentional about who you're trying to become, what kind of legacy you want to leave, and what this next chapter looks and feels like for you. So those are the 3 steps that I suggest if you're planning on relocating, or if you've already relocating, or if you're going to relocate in the next few months, as to how to really soak up this moment and ensure that you are doing it and that you can really thrive in your new surroundings. So that's it for this episode. I'll see you in another episode soon. Bye.